Assalamu alaikum, I'm Hina Ijaz. Welcome to Pakistan. Right after you finish watching this episode of Welcome to Pakistan, I'm sure you're going to look up for the movie called Tokyo Drift, because today it's all about car drifting. How it's done, I think that movie is going to reveal it all for you, but I'm going to give you some highlights of my special guests today who are here on the show. One is a motorsports consultant for Red Bull, and the other himself, the man himself, is a car drifter for the first time from Pakistan. A Pakistani participated in a car drifting championship in Oman, and this was so recent, as January, Feb. This just, let's say, a couple of months ago, 2022, Jan, Feb. He was there, he got nominated, he went there and made us proud by participating in this international championship. I have here the motorsports consultant for Red Bull. His name is Yusif Bassil. He's from Lebanon, lives in Dubai, has participated in many shows and has been a part of the motorsports industry for a very long time. So I don't think this episode is going to be enough to cover and talk about this particular activity. It may seem new to you, but trust me, there's so many motorsports enthusiasts in Pakistan. A prime example, like I just mentioned, I'm talking about Talha bin Azhar. He is from Pakistan, participated for the first time in this international car drifting championship in Oman. Hi Talha. Hi Yusuf.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you for having us.
You guys are super busy, I believe, in a lot that's been going on in terms of car drifting in Pakistan, in Lahore especially.
Correct. First, thank you for hosting us.
Thank you for coming.
And actually, it's a good chance for us because we're starting the new car park drift series in Pakistan, hosting the first academy, which is a starting point for us to move forward and to establish the car park drifting scene in Pakistan with the qualifier. And this is a global series for Red Bull. And for this, we have our international drift athlete, Abdul Faghala, also is present.
How amazing is that? Well, how it's going to look like? What does it really look like, rather? I'd like you to see it. Let's see it. This is how car drifting is done. Well, Talha, thank you for joining us first of all.
Thank you very much.
But I'd like to understand, is it life-threatening?
It's quite exciting, actually. You know, it's one of those adventurous sports. It's in professional competitions, it's not life-threatening because the whole concept is about the safety and the rules and regulations. So it's made sure that everybody is safely harnessed and secured and the cars are safe, and so it probably minimizes the risks, and especially with the CPD concept,
right.
It's not dangerous at all.
Have you ever gotten injured in such an event?
Alhamdulillah, not yet.
Good.
Yeah.
Good to see you in a proper form.
Yeah.
As in Pakistan, they say one piece.
Yeah, in one piece. Yeah.
Right. Well, on that note, I'm going to go back to Yusuf, talk about his country, his amazing, amazing country, Lebanon. What a beautiful place with lovely people. That's what I hear. Never been there, but I'd like to see a few images for myself and for you. Let's see this report prepared by our team. So that was Lebanon. Tell me, so you were born there and you moved to Dubai. What's your story?
Correct. Born in Lebanon, raised in Lebanon, and then joined Red Bull company and moved all around. Actually worked for around 80 markets. All around
80?
80, yes.
80,
around the globe.
right? Not 18.
Yeah, 8. So moved from Lebanon to Dubai, to Hong Kong, Singapore, India, Africa, South Africa, Angola,
Never
Nigeria.
Pakistan.
Actually, this is the first time in Pakistan. I did work from a regional level on Pakistan, but first time I come to the market. So yes.
How do you find it?
Actually, first impression is good. Been in so many markets. I like greenery. So first impression landing. Today I landed in the morning.
In Lahore,
So-
you landed in Lahore.
In Lahore, yes, correct. I flew directly from Dubai to Lahore. So yes, the greenery, nice.
From Dubai, that's a big change. I mean, Dubai is so
Yes.
green now also, but this is a little more natural, right?
It is natural.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the rain, the little bit of chilled weather, it's nice. Possibly maybe it's Saturday, there's not much traffic, so I did not feel the tough traffic, maybe, but yeah, so just a few hours. But so
Right.
far, I like the environment.
Right. So you've been associated with the motorsports industry for a very long time, Yusuf, correct?
Correct.
How did that happen?
Long time back, and it's really long time back.
How long ago?
First interaction with motorsport, 1985.
That's long ago.
That's very long. First race, 1991. It was a race on snow. So that's long.
You can skid quite a bit on snow, I believe.
It is. Actually, in Lebanon, we have snow, but for a very short, like 2 to 3 months, we have snow. So we had a hill climb race on snow.
Right.
It was my first interaction with racing. And then participated in rallying, hill climb racing, and then in the GCC in endurance races. So it's more of 24-hour series races. Go-kart, cross car, so a lot. This is on a personal level. Mostly with Red Bull, I manage Red Bull athletes as well. Drifting, rally athletes, 4x4. I do a lot of the support activities as well for off-road racing, like the Dakar that's taking place in Saudi. I coordinate with a lot of teams, international teams coming to the region. But the closest to my heart is the Red Bull Car Park Drift, which we created in 2005, based in Hong Kong as an idea. So Red Bull took on this idea, and we developed the concept. So first event took place in 2008 in Lebanon, and then we shifted it to more markets in the Middle East. We saw there was a big traction, a lot of interest from the people, spectators, sponsors.
Middle East was very keen on it. Is that correct? Like you've just mentioned.
Yes, correct, because it grew and started from the Middle East. But currently we are a global event, and we expanded to Europe, and now we're expanding to here, to Pakistan.
So living in Dubai makes your life easier. It's in the center, you get to travel
Correct.
to this part and that part, wherever.
Correct, correct. And this year we have the series with 22 markets from Ireland, Pakistan, Estonia, Sri Lanka, South Africa, Lebanon, Morocco, and the world final will take place in Saudi Arabia end of November.
I believe bravery is a big trait when it comes to car drifting. You've got to have a lion's heart to do that. Is that correct?
Correct. Motorsport, you need to have a lion's heart overall. In drifting and the concept of how we're doing drifting, so the car park drift is intended for people who want to be introduced to the sport as well. Prior, let's say, what they did in the Oman International Drifting Championship.
Absolutely.
This is more, it's called tandem drifting, which is two cars, very powerful cars, very high speed, drifting next to each other. The car park drift is a startup concept, but it's a totally different area. It's drifting, but a different scene. It's one car at a time. We take it in a car park lot, and we place obstacles, different obstacles. So it's either you have a box, you have a pendulum, which is a ball you need to hit, you have flipper gates you need to hit, and you take points on it. So basically it's one run, 1 minute to 1 minute and a half. You have to score the maximum points by tackling all the obstacles, and always in a drift way. This you can do it as a startup with a low horsepower car, and you can go as much as 1,000 horsepower car and a professional drifter. And it's a platform where you can compete professional people, semi-professionals, and amateurs under the same platform. It's a very safe environment because it takes place in a parking lot
Right.
or a big parking space with the good safety measures all around it. And the speed does not get too high, maximum in the third gear speed.
Yusuf, have you ever witnessed any accidents during these drifting sessions?
Yes, of course. Accident is part of it because it's a controlled environment and we take all the measures and we use mostly water barriers. So the accident, you hit the water barrier or you hit a cone or the ball, whatever, with small damages. Even if sometimes some car took fire, but because it's a small area, directly you
But
control
the
it.
drifters came out alive, right?
Yeah, very simple.
Good. We have one right here. Well, Pakistan, do you think, is getting big on the drifting scene now?
Yeah, especially since the last year when I came to Pakistan after living in Malaysia. So we tried
You
to
lived in Malaysia?
Yeah,
How
I used
long?
to live in Malaysia for 3 years. That's actually where I started up drifting and going towards a professional career. So because of COVID, unfortunately, a lot of things got shut down worldwide. So we came to Pakistan, and from that time onwards till now, even though it was COVID time, but the motorsport scene in Pakistan has skyrocketed. Like there was a drift day last year in the last quarter of 2021, and it was an invitational event. So just to gauge the interest and passion of people, it was an invitational only event for spectators, and we got around 7,000 people.
Where was this held?
It was held in SA Gardens at the Vroom Racing Circuit.
Right.
The same place we're going to
Yes, we
inaugurate
did cover
this.
that.
Yeah.
I remember, we did.
Yeah. So that was a brainchild that I tried to launch here with my team. And the
How
result
large
was...
is your team in Pakistan?
The core team here in Pakistan for running this, like we're 4 to 5 people
Right.
who run the track and all the management side. But it's
And
always
how many
about...
people are on your platform or rather contact you?
in terms of...
Drifters, who are
Drifters?
interested in
Okay,
being a
so
part
now,
of this
like,
activity.
for the first time ever, we were expecting just like 8 to 10 people, but eventually 19 drivers turned out
Excellent.
from as far as Quetta
Well done.
and the other side to Peshawar.
Well done, well done,
So,
Talha.
considering all of that, it's been just crazy. It's been amazing.
Crazy, nice, amazing, fabulous, and adrenaline. Let's not forget that the adrenaline rush that you get during this drift. So if you are interested, I think Talha is the right person to get in touch with in Pakistan. And if you want to learn more about car drifting, we have the man here. He's the consultant. He's coming all the way from Dubai and is teaching us how it's done. We'll talk about it, but right after this short break. Do you think it's safe for a 14-year-old to be doing this?
Actually, they're very good.
I know
Some of them.
kids, they're brave. They don't care.
They're good, especially with the simulators. This is a parking lot. These are the obstacles. Bring these guys. And for the guys, we tell them, now you can become heroes because everybody will be watching you. You're using your skills. If you really have skills, show us what we can do. And then you can climb up the ladder.
How I did it, like I convinced my parents that there is actually a future to it, and I'm dedicated and I'm committed enough to make a future to it.
Right, so Yusuf, how does one become a drifter? If one is interested, what are the baby steps in order to achieve this goal of becoming a car drifter?
Now with the technology, it's quite easy because you can have a simulator at home and play a game.
That's amazing.
Actually, we do have some great examples of two people. I can tell you, they started on PlayStation. It was a few years ago where technology, it was not even to this extent.
Right.
So you have a simulator with the Logitech, and with your PlayStation, you can play a game like Assetto Corsa, drifting, and you start drifting. And we have two guys, Ahmed Al-Hadidi from Oman. Actually, he was a sim drifter and moved to drifting, and he won the world finals that took place in Oman. And you have a lot of from other markets, so they start young with this. And now because it's taken in a closed parking, you can get a special license from local federations because it's not on main roads. And you can participate because racing licenses or on a closed circuit, you can take it from 14 years old.
So let's talk about the legal aspects of it also.
Yes.
You need a license and you have to be certified. What are the steps?
Okay, for the regulations differ from country to country. In some countries, you need to have a driving license.
Right.
In basic driving license. Some countries take it at 16, sometimes at 18 years old.
Right.
In a lot of markets, because it's in a closed circuit, so it applies the circuit regulations, which you take it from the local ASN or the federation, local motorsport federation. They can give you a racing license or a drifting license. You can take it.
You have to qualify for that. I'm sure there's a test for that.
They make a test, yes, of course.
Right.
They make a test for this, and you get a license. You can be 14 years old and participate.
But now, a 14-year-old wouldn't have a driving license, but they can still participate in this test. And if they pass it, they do get that certificate or license, whatever.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
This is how it goes. So do you think it's safe for a 14-year-old to be doing this?
Actually, they're very good.
I know, kids, they're brave. They don't care.
They're good, especially with the simulators. So they have the feel of how you make the turns, how to use the handbrake, and all of this. What's lacking is the G-force, and the G-force you take it actually by driving the car.
What's a good age to start?
For drifting?
Yes.
14?
14? When did you start?
I started late. I started at 22 because we didn't have the resources, but if I had a chance,
And I'm
I
sure
would
your parents didn't
definitely-
allow that.
But that's the thing, like, that's the whole goal, to convince the parents that these professional motorsports and drifting in closed space, and like just how the CPD is designed and everything, that's actually a really, really good platform for all the people, because it's a huge industry. And it's actually true, the 14 years old these days are actually just too good.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd like to show our audience, our viewers here, exactly how this championship in Oman looked like, where you participated, where a Pakistani participated for the first time in the history of motorsports car drifting. Let's see it. All right, Talha, this was amazing. How was this experience?
It was just surreal because when I started into the drifting and the motorsports scene, the whole goal was to be a professional and, you know, do it the right way.
Right.
But never I had imagined that, you know, we'd be able to go to such places so quickly. And I used to, when I was in Malaysia, I used to do some competitions over there. So eventually, like going through all the competitions and the podiums and all, so we got an invitation from Oman, and that was a huge step for us. And we had a goal because we went there for the first time. So our goal was to qualify and then move on from there. So Alhamdulillah, we were there and we were able to put a significant mark. Our flag was there among all the countries, and everybody from the Pakistan or the Asian region knew that this is a new
yeah,
they came to see it, and they supported us to the very last extent. And it was just crazy because my first battle was also against like Ahmad Daham. He's a Red Bull athlete as well, and he's a guy I met 7 years ago in Pakistan when he came for his tour. So starting the cycles, the whole journey started from there, and then eventually 7 years down the road we were at the same competition and then racing against each other.
Wow, that's amazing.
So
That's
it was a crazy
amazing.
story, yeah.
Right, so how supportive is your family?
Alhamdulillah, my family is now very supportive.
So there were
yeah.
obstacles
I
in the
mean,
beginning, like
it's-
there were obstacles in car drifting.
Yeah, it's basically because, as you just said, that like everybody thinks about that it could be dangerous,
Yes,
or is there
naturally,
some sort
yes.
of a risk to it, or you know, if there is a future to it. That's the biggest question people ask. So how I did it, like I convinced my parents that there is actually a future to it, and I'm dedicated and I'm committed enough to make a future to it. You know, there's this thing I wanted to make my passion into profession. So
That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
This is what kids nowadays need to
true,
learn.
and I love to tell everybody here that just never stop, because when I was doing it, I had moments in the way where I was like, what am I doing even? But then there's this forgot whose saying is it, but it's like if you're scared and you're excited at the same time, just go for it.
Be
You know?
fearless.
Yeah, you got to be fearless, but you have to have a little bit of that.
I'm sure a lot of young people out there, if they're watching this, they might have this question, because you see sportsmen, international sportsmen, Pakistan, and sportsmen from our country, when they make it big in the sports industry. There are a lot of endorsements, you become an international star, you are a public figure, right? But when it comes to car drifting, how big is the sport in terms of making it financially viable for a person who is trying to become, or has become rather, a car drifter, a motorsport specialist?
Okay, so like there are different aspects of it. Like if there are many countries in the world, like some of which he named, in the Europe, in the Japanese, the Japanese side, somewhere deep in Asia and the US, drifting is huge. It's basically something at the scale of cricket on the international level in some countries, and there are sponsors and companies who are involved and already familiar with the...
I'm asking this because
Yeah.
I'd like to clear it for our Pakistani audiences, especially who are interested in participating in this activity, or rather taking it up as a profession later on. That is it viable to be a car drifter sports specialist?
You see, it's nothing's impossible, first of all, but it's a journey.
Can you take it up as a
Yeah.
profession for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
You can?
Yeah, it's basically, that's what I'm like
It
just
could be your
trying to
bread and butter?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Yes. Please.
Let me give some example.
Yeah.
Yes. He mentioned Ahmad Daham.
Yes.
Ahmad Daham actually is a guy who took part in the car park drift around 10 years ago.
Right.
It was taking place in Jordan, and he qualified for the final, which took place in Lebanon.
Right.
And then through this, it created a platform for him, because he's smart, he's active, to become a tuner of cars. So he diverted he was driving his passion, which is drifting, so enhanced his skills on this. In parallel, he became, and now he's actually one of the best tuners in the region, car tuners. So he tunes the cars for the guys, and this brings him some good money.
Right.
Second thing, he moved up the ladder, and he took sponsorship from Red Bull. He took sponsorship from other brands, tire brands. He took car brands as well. And now he's got a mega garage. He's doing a lot of activities for
So you
for
can
big-
branch out. You can just not be in a
Correct.
car for the rest of your life, not just drifting away. There's so much more to it, right?
Correct.
Work that you have to create. Like there's always that you have to have a secondary skill that you can use it. But in Pakistan, being a professional drifter is something that is a bit on the on the early stages. So for the OIDC, for example, there are certain companies here who took the initiative of going out of the way and supporting the motorsports drivers to carry on the events. And this is an example for all the companies around here. And this is also what we are trying to create, that the companies should look towards this side rather than just...
And I think they are now.
They are now.
Yusuf here is a prime example too. You've made a proper profession out of it.
Correct.
And but Yusuf, given your experience, your interaction with different nationalities, working with almost the entire world, where do you think we find the most passionate car drifters?
It's hard to define, honestly, because it depends on the scale. To give you an example, passion exists no matter what, but the scale and how we want to push it up, then it depends with the whole ecosystem that goes behind it. That means the federation, the sponsors, the local government.
Then the structure around you.
The structure around it can push it to the next level. The basic thing exists. So the passion, they like it, they feed for it, and this is what we witnessed when we started the car park drift in a lot of markets. First, you started, And I would like to highlight one important thing in here, which is safety and taking people off the streets. Because a lot of young people would like to drift, to do donuts or whatever, anywhere they find a small parking lot or on the streets. One way, and we were able to convince a lot of local governments in other countries to tell them, you know what, these guys are doing it anyway, these donuts on the streets. Let's take them off the streets and give them a platform whereby they can drift in a safe environment under your control. So we invited them and we said, okay, this is a parking lot. These are the obstacles. Bring these guys. And for the guys, we tell them, now you can become heroes because everybody will be watching you. You're using your skills. If you really have skills, show us what we can do. And then you can climb up the ladder. One, you can have media interest, sponsors interest, and as well self-fulfilling actions.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, you're a prime example of that. I'm going to talk much more about Pakistan as well, in terms of their experience in Pakistan. Yusif, I know you've been here for a short while in Pakistan, but what you've experienced in terms of witnessing our culture, our people, and do you see any similarities between Pakistanis and the Lebanese in terms of our lifestyles or maybe the culture in short? I'd like to talk about that, but I'm going to go towards a short break before that. See you shortly.
Because the track is like 1.5 minutes, you don't have to be super fit to be able to do this.
First venture in Drift Day, following up to the Red Bull CPD Academy and the arrival of Yusuf and Abdul Fighali. This is a stepping stone for a lot of people. Like, there are going to be drivers who take part in this academy, and there will be who will be aspiring for the next possible chance.
You can participate in a rear-wheel drive car, basic car with a basic setup, and you can participate. You don't need a big horsepower or a big tune-up for the car.
Welcome back. We have Yusif Bassil here. He's from Lebanon but lives in Dubai. Has been in touch with almost the entire globe because of his profession, that is car drifting. He's a consultant to Red Bull, is in Pakistan for an event associated with it. And on the other side, I have Talha, who's from Pakistan, is an expert in car drifting. He's lived in Malaysia for a while. His passion started there for car drifting. He continues it in Pakistan and made us proud by going to Oman and participating at a championship there, which is quite a big thing, I must say, Talha. Congratulations on that. You saw a few images of that earlier during the show as well. You can Google it too, of course, and see it. Well, so Yusuf, coming to Pakistan, what did you hear about Pakistan prior to your arrival?
Yes, this is my first time in Pakistan, but it's not my first interaction with the people. Of course, the people of Pakistan. I live in Dubai.
Yes, of course, there are plenty of them there.
There's a big community there. And as well, they are in racing. I raced in UAE, and there were some people from Pakistan racing in UAE. Yes. So I know, now looking at it and feeling it directly on the street, how people drive.
Now, being on the soil itself of Pakistan, how does it feel?
Yeah, there's a lot of honing in the cars. Okay, a lot of...
Do you see some drifting, some street drifting anywhere?
I did not for now, but possibly the...
Well, if you go to Karachi, you might see it because, you know, they've got bigger boulevards and everybody's in a rush there. It's a very busy city, so you might see some drifting, you know, unofficial drifting.
Why not? So this is the starting point. Where
Am I not correct, Talha?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and the people, how they like to use every inch of the space between cars to try to...
We're very efficient. When it comes to driving, we're very efficient. We know how to pave our ways.
Yes.
And, you know, we know exactly if it's a narrow space in between, how to maneuver in between. I tell you, we can become world champions there.
Yeah, we got some really
we
good
know,
drivers from
maneuvering,
off the streets.
Yeah.
we're the best.
Yeah.
And
Street maneuvering, car maneuvering.
and a lot of similarities on the quality of the tarmac as well.
Right.
So the tarmac quality, some jumps.
Yeah, we manage it. We're efficient, we're smart, and we are good drifters, car drifters, right?
Yeah. I think there's some really good people out of all of these people, you know, good, strong future drivers.
You see, we don't even need a simulator. We have the roads for that.
So this gives you a lot of very good reaction speed to
Right,
things. So
right. So that's the car honking. Okay, on a serious note, so it was the car honking. That's the first observation. And next, did you see any similarities in your culture in Lebanon and Pakistan?
You know, Lebanon is a very small country. Possibly one city in Pakistan is bigger in population than the whole of
But
Lebanon.
you've quite a name all over the world for different things, your culture and so many other things.
Yes, correct. In terms of similarities between the Pakistani, let's say, overall feel of the city versus a lot of countries that I've been to.
Right.
So you can see a lot of things, especially when you move out towards Africa, a little bit in the Middle East. Yeah, you can see from the street the way they drive, the way the streets, how they are structured and designed. A lot of small motorbikes, families on motorbikes moving around between the
there
cars.
Are a lot of similarities there.
Yeah, you can feel it. How they place the food on the street
food
as well.
vendors on streets.
The live. So yeah, with a lot of countries, there are some similarities. I cannot say I have gone deep yet, and
Right.
possibly in
Did
the
you
coming 2
try
days.
any Pakistani food since your visit here, since your arrival? Sorry.
No, actually, I arrived this morning. Did not have the chance yet. Possibly tonight, the team will be taking us.
So I think we're not going to hear it on an official level, but what are you going to recommend to him from Pakistan to eat here?
Oh, it's just a huge list. We can just show him the list and then, like, choose, just point a finger. And the karais over here is like the chicken gravy, and there is a lot of special breakfast in Food Street in Lahore. I mean, there's a lot of places.
We have a lot of
if I were to
Lebanese
choose,
restaurants here too. Lebanese, Turkish, from that particular belt. We do have a lot of restaurants here, and there's a big demand for it now in Pakistan.
That's good.
Yes.
It's kind of a trademark Lebanese food, but a lot of the restaurants are not actually Lebanese, but it's a trademark Lebanese food.
Yes,
now
correct.
a lot of the people from the Levant area, that means you can be Jordanian, Palestinian, Syrian, they have quite similarities, but the name Lebanese food sells better.
It just sells well, right?
It sells well, yeah, correct.
Right. You've created goodwill for yourself.
Correct.
shawarma, right?
Yeah, actually the shawarma, a lot of it are basically, mainly we took it from the Turkish at the time.
Yes, exactly.
We enhanced it, make it better, and sold it best.
Yeah.
And main reason
You
for
marketed it well.
actually, yeah, that's very true. And main reason for that is that Lebanese living in Lebanon around 4 to 5 million, outside Lebanon 16 million.
Right.
So you have a big diaspora, and this helps a lot.
Yeah.
And food is very connected to family, to sitting together, all of this. So that's why the marketing, and Lebanese are good
The
marketeers.
concept, the marketing of it, and the way it was projected all over the world, it's doing really, really well. But I see there are a lot of Lebanese settled in Dubai also.
Big number of Lebanese. Main reason is proximity to Lebanon.
Yes.
Second thing is the culture. So Dubai is a multi-city. It's still an Arabic world, and Lebanon is a
But then again, given Lebanon is small, but then a lot of Lebanese live in Dubai.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And you love living there?
Of course. Dubai offers a very unique platform. Very unique platform. So you still have this, you have this international city. It's like being in Paris or in Hong Kong or in New York.
And
but the same, you still have your
better
Arabic roots.
infrastructure, obviously.
You're living in the future. Dubai is living in the future.
In the future.
Oh yes, the museum of the future just opened up.
Yeah. So what they did, the rulers of Dubai and the Emirates in general, really, they provided a platform in the Middle East, which is a multinational global platform to be based in the Middle East. And this makes it really good for us. It's close. We still have the Arabic culture and the multinational exposure. And you live with such a big you meet everybody in Dubai.
Absolutely. On that note, let's see some images of Pakistan and Lebanon. Like we always pick it up very intelligently and try to make it look similar. So let's see it. Well, that was Pakistan and Lebanon. So, tell me 5 interesting things about Lebanon.
One is
Food.
food, of course. Food, history. So long time. Lebanon is 6,000 years old country. Byblos is the world's most ancient city in the world.
Yes, obviously.
We have 18 different religions in a very small country.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Level of education is quite high, and diaspora. So more Lebanese living outside than inside. The profile of Lebanon is quite nice. It's part of the Middle East, but it has 4 seasons.
Yes,
So you can.
exactly.
I was
yes.
skiing last week. I was actually this week. I was skiing in Lebanon. So you have snow. You have very good ski resorts, and you have good winter, and you have a good summer. Best beach resorts.
Tourism was very good before things kind of deteriorated, recently in Lebanon. Tourism was good. Has it picked up again?
Very good tourism, but from Lebanese living outside rather than international. But
Or
a lot of,
domestic travelers?
yeah, living in the GCC,
Yes.
coming from, you have a big community living in Canada, living in Australia, so they come. And also a lot of people from Dubai, because going skiing, you fly to Beirut, 3 hours by plane, and actually the currency is quite low, so it's quite
Yes.
cheap to go there.
It's-
And it's you have a good time, so you can have a very good party. One of the best clubs,
Wow.
actually best clubs in the world are in Beirut,
I
and
hear
now
of
the best
that.
clubs in Dubai are an extension of Lebanese clubs.
Excellent.
No, it's quite a, you go there, Beirut is a very ancient city, multicultural, life is real there.
It's a great country, a great place to visit, and why not? Have you ever been to Lebanon?
Not yet, but I'm for sure.
Are
it's
you
on my bucket
convinced
list.
by what Yusuf said?
Oh, yes,
You'd
for
like
sure.
to go?
Beirut is already very famous.
Yes.
It has history of.
In fact, we do
Like
have a
rich.
restaurant by that name in Lahore also.
It has a history of rich life, Beirut. And it's a
Right.
bit different than our lifestyle, but for sure it's something that is worth, visiting, checking out.
Right. So quickly before we end the show, we'd like to take advantage of your expertise in car drifting. Could you highlight what particular fitness level is required for a car drifter? I'm sure there must be some criteria.
Okay, that's an interesting topic, and we just had a conversation before we entered here.
Oh, lovely. Good I asked that question.
Yes, and main reason we have a large number of people participating in the Red Bull Car Park Drift. One is the entry is an easy of entry. You can participate in a rear-wheel drive car, basic car with a basic setup, and you can participate. You don't need a big horsepower or a big tune-up for the car.
Really?
2, because the track is like 1.5 minutes, you don't have to be super fit to be able to do this. So a
That's
lot of
fine.
people, so the reflection of the people participating are very close to the people outside. It's not like, like Formula 1 or rally drivers, whatever. You look at these guys, they are super fit, super, everything
yeah, exactly. That was my point.
No,
yes.
the drifter, he's your friend, he's your buddy. You were having dinner with him, last night, whatever, and he goes there, he drifts, and then he goes, because it's not really very tight. You have to be focused, whatever. Of course, when you reach the
What
level
about
of
eyesight and things like that? Are they put under consideration?
the eyesight,
Yeah, for a car drifter.
yeah, you have to be, you have the normal basic stuff.
It's
Yeah.
basically like he was just saying that like on a certain level, there is some fitness requirement that
But
just
not
as
for
a
this
driver,
1.5 minute track.
No, like in the beginning, that's the difference in the Formula 1 or circuit racing and drifting. It's easy, it's relatable. Anybody who has interest in cars or who has that knowledge or that talent can do it. But when you go to a certain level, that's just the option, that's the choice of a
Got
driver
it.
to be
Got
fit.
that.
Yeah.
So Yusuf, before we end the show, would you like to say something to Pakistani to-be or who want to be car drifters? Do you have a message for them?
Yes, of course. First, thank you for hosting us.
Thank you for coming.
The second thing is that the Red Bull team in Pakistan, they took on this step. So this is a first step. It's a stepping stone for the
Absolutely.
people who are interested, or they have saw it somewhere and they say, okay, where can I start? How can I start?
Right.
This is your step. So it's an academy. So we teach you what to do. So you train, and the next level is to have the qualifier. And then from the qualifier, we will select one person from Pakistan to go and represent Pakistan in the world final.
Right, and I must congratulate Red Bull on that because it's a big landmark in the history of sports, the world of sports in Pakistan, for them to give a platform to car drifters in Pakistan and getting people like Yusif to come to Pakistan and teach us so much on that. And Talha has also been associated with them, that's
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
correct? So Talha, do you have a message for people who are interested in becoming car drifters?
Yeah, I actually have two short messages.
Sure, please
So
go ahead.
one is basically like is more addressed towards the young kids but mostly towards the parents and
Right.
the families to understand the concept and the culture of the track scene. So basically what it means is like to have people off the roads and into the tracks. They have to visit, they have to understand, they have to know that this is
Be a little
actually
open-minded about it.
This is a safe space. This is just like playing cricket or football or any other sport,
Correct.
but just with cars. So one is that like they have to understand that this is a very safe playground, and they have to let their confidence and their support would let their kids reach the new
Very
heights.
good message, yes.
And then second one is that since the beginning of the track and all these motorsports activities last year, we've been working at Vroom Racing Circuit. We've been working closely with Red Bull Pakistan, and now like after our first venture in Drift Day, following up to the Red Bull CPD Academy and the arrival of Yusuf and Abdul Fighali, this is a stepping stone for a lot of people. Like there are going to be drivers who take part in this academy, and there will be who will be aspiring for the next possible chance.
Right.
So we're here to tell you that whatever event is happening or whatever happens or does not happen, the track is always open, and there is a racing circuit, there's a racing track here now in
Right.
Lahore. Come
So
and
go
just
and
enjoy.
see
Yeah.
it and enjoy it, and parents must come if their kids are interested in it. Come and see it for yourselves and see how safe it is if your child is interested in that. Well, thank you, Yusuf. Thank you,
Thank you
Talha,
very
for coming
much.
on the show, and all the best for your event. I shall see you next week, same time, with more interesting people. Well, this was, I must say, a great show because I learned so much about car drifting as well today. And like I said at the beginning of the show, go watch Tokyo Drift if you don't know about it. See you next week.